All right, Shalom, giving all praises, honor, and glory to our power, Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shah, Bahasham Rachak, Wadash, double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders, a great millstone. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect of the tabernacles of David, scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, wherever you may be, wherever you may be. Shalom, Yeshua, Shalom. All right, it's going to be super brief here. It's from InfoWars. It says, World War III alert. China readies for war as she dons military uniform. As you see right there, this is dated October 21st, 2024. And we know this is nothing new. You know, you should have wars and rumors of wars. Okay, so it says Chinese naval forces drilled surrounding Taiwan, and Xi ordered war preparations, which we've been seeing them do that lately. All right, that's what they were doing out there. All right, they pretty much practicing for game day. All right, for this attack on Taiwan, which is going to happen. And if I'm correct, America is backing Taiwan. Or there might be, I might be thinking about, no, I think that's South Korea, okay? Which I wouldn't doubt if America is backing Taiwan as well. But I know for sure South Korea, when North Korea was I mean, it haven't stopped. But, you know, having those tensions with South Korea, you had America and Japan backing up South Korea, and then North Korea, you know, ran up to Russia, you know, and, you know, I guess they started, you know, having talks. Okay, and as you see now, what happened? They're pretty much starting to be joined at the hip, as even North Korea just sent troops to Russia, if I'm correct. Okay, so yeah, the Lord is always putting, you know, little puzzle pieces together. All right, it's like a thousand piece puzzle, and every little piece means something because we're looking for a bigger picture here. All right, we're looking for the chaos to come, and it's going to spiral from the MOTV being implemented. But it says here, screen skipped. Okay, so it says, she said the military should comprehensively strengthen training and preparation for war and ensure troops have solid combat capabilities, according to the AFP. All right, so yeah, and that's what's happening right now, waking up the mighty men, preparing them for war. Ezekiel 38, Joel chapter 3. All right, preparing these mighty men for battle, and that's why these men keep doing these joint drills and things of that nature, simulating attacks on their enemy nations because they're preparing for one. All right. So we're gonna play this video. It says just in, Chinese President Xi Jinping has called on his military to comprehensively strengthen training and preparation for war. He made these remarks during a visit to a brigade of the People's Liberation Army Rocket Force. All right, just give me a second. I'm gonna cut my Bluetooth off because you're not gonna be able to hear if I don't. Just give me 2 seconds. All right, so you should be able to hear it now. It's probably short.
今天我和军委的一班人到军委来日中心来，就是要亮明新一届军委贯彻落实党的20大精神，全面加强练兵备战的决心和态度。
习近平强调，当前世界100年未有之大变局加速演进，我国安全形势不稳定性、不确定性。
You just said there. Let me go back if I can. The entire military must implement
世界100年未有之大变局
these thoughts on strengthening
加速演进。
military in the new era, and that's what the scriptures tell us, man. All right, beat your swords into plows. Beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears. That's what we just quoted from. Let me see if I can get Joel on the screen. Hopefully, we'll actually be able to come back to that video. Let me get Joel on the screen here. Because we just talked about that. We just quoted that. All right. Ezekiel 38, be thou a guard unto him, Russia and all thy bands and all your company. All right, those companies, those bands are talking about troops, okay? Whether it be boots on the ground, all right, fish in the water, and I'm not talking about actual fish. I'm talking about ships, submarines, all right, or they're angels, right, or at least Esau calls them angels. You know, these jets, fighter jets, bombers, planes, choppers, whatever the case may be, all right, land, sea, air. Okay, and then we never forget about space, but space is not a talk right now. All right, that space is to analyze, you know, to try to attempt to, you know, take your house shot down. But that's another topic there. Let's get verse 2, Joel 3:2. It says, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, which is in the Hebrew is Yahweh Shaphat. Yahweh being the name of the Heavenly Father. Shaphat meaning judge, okay? Same thing when you go into that word plead, it'll bring up the word Shaphat, which means judge, okay? Or Shaphat Yum would be judgments, all right, plural, okay? So it says, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, not for the whole nation, just the elect, and definitely not for the whole world, just the remnant of the nation of Israel, all right? And that's what's going to happen. The Lord's going to plead for the elect, for the elect's sake, because the 2/3 will be continued in the kingdom through the loins of the 1/3, all right? But let's continue with the topic. It says, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations, you see, and parted my land. All right, Ezekiel 36:2. The enemy has said against you, aha, even the ancient high places are ours in possession. Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles be filled. And that's why our lands are filled with heathens. And the scriptures, you know, give us these accounts. Okay, we just talked about one the other day, dealing with the Samaritans. All right, people coming in. All right, that happened to all of our lands: Syria, West Bank, Jordan, Gaza, Lebanon, state of Israel. All that area, all that territory is now filled with heathen nations. That the Lord's going to cleanse those nations out. I want to jump down and get to the nitty gritty though. Verse 9 says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. These are the natural Gentiles, the heathen nations. It says, prepare war, wake up the mighty man, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. I mean, come down to the valley of Yahweh Shaphat. Like it says in Revelation. I like reading that scripture. I'm not going to pull it now. You can look for it for your own time. But it says, talks about the Euphrates River drying up to make way for the kings of the east. And China is most definitely a king of the east. When you look at the map, you can go pull up the Tigris and Euphrates River and look what's east of there. I call east of there. Okay, I call it the land of the stands. Tajikistan, Kazakhstan, Pakistan, stand this, stand that. All right, the land of the stand. And when you go a little south, you get India. You keep going south, east, you'll see Japan. And, you know, straight east, you'll see China. Okay, make a way for the kings of the east. And Russia is that ones in the scripture talking about coming from the north. But they're all coming to one place, man. All right. Okay, it's the so-called Middle East in Asia to the valley of Yahweh Shaphat, where Armageddon, World War III, will take place in our time. It says, wake up the mighty man, right? All these armies, these companies, these bands coming down like a storm. It's all talking about the same thing. I'll mention what's said in 2 Ezra chapter 15. It says, let all of the men of war draw near, let them come up. Here it is. Here's the point. That's why we came over here after watching that little clip there. All right, we're going to go back to it. It says, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. All these nations that didn't have these nuclear capabilities, get them now. All right, store up your uranium and, you know, do this, do that. It says the same thing in Isaiah chapter 14. Has thou become as weak as we? All right, those little nations that would have got mashed on like a madman with a hammer standing over a pile of ants. Okay. Now they're given the ability to actually fight back. It may not be on a high winning level, but just having a nuclear missile is enough to say, hey, we now, even though we're not as strong as your naval force is, or your air force is, or your military men are, or your technology is, nukes level that playing field. So if you want to get jiggy with it, you know, we can fly nukes at each other. So it makes America think twice. But because of biblical prophecy, America is still boasting itself in that pride and that arrogance. And then the scriptures talk about how the least of the flock shall draw them out. And so their pride and their arrogance is going to carry right into the battle. And when you go to Jeremiah, it says Jeremiah 51 talks about the men of Babylon have foreborn to fight. Man, they're going to be afraid because once they because they're the big dog shark in the water. And once they take a bite out of it, right, when Jaws get that chunk, he's going to realize he bit off more than he can chew. And they're going to, at some point, they're going to realize that they're fighting a losing battle. And the scriptures talk about that as well. Also in Jeremiah, where it says it's going to run from one post to another. Say Babylon is taken, just paraphrasing. You see, this is not a war America's going to win. And furthermore, it's not a war any of these countries are going to win. They're going to win in the sense as the Lord's going to use them to defeat America, take America out off the map. But then Yahushua is going to take all of them out, and he's going to do it all at once. You see? It says, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord Yahweh. Let the heathen be wakened. Yeah, all these nations, every last one of them who the Lord plans on fighting in World War III, let them wake up, let them get prepared, let them get nukes, let them get troops, let them get air forces, let them get submarines, let them get ships. All right, prepare your naval captains, your generals, your everything. All right, whatever technology you got, ramp it up to the maximum. Okay, and increase the production of it. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Yahushua. For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. And the Lord's not coming down, like some, Professor X or some shit, okay? And he's going to say, okay, this nation now, I'm going to judge you now. I'm going to know he's sending Yahushua back to tear them all up all at once, man, with those direct energy beams. It says, put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. All right, other chapters talk about a similar thing when it talks about the winepress, Revelation, Isaiah 63. I believe there's another chapter that mentions the winepress, okay? Basically meaning it's time for this earth to be judged, which is going to begin with the house of Israel, okay? But it says, put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, get you down, for the press is full, the fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. All the things going on in the earth that we see on a day-to-day basis, like it says in Ezekiel chapter 9, verse 4, those that cry inside for the abominations that be done in the midst thereof, things are getting worse and worse and worse. But it's really because of the leader of the earth, the one that's sitting in a power seat. He's able to pass these certain laws and things of that nature that make things that are against the Lord's laws in the scriptures, and make them things legal. And try to desensitize people to it and accept it as a way of life and a way of thinking and a way of living, which is against the Lord, and so on and so forth. Okay? Governing the minds of the people and saying, hey, it's okay to do this thing here. All right? Just stay in line with the rules, right? As long as you're not getting out of line with the rules, it's okay to do this, that, and the third thing, right? So it says, put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, get you down, for the press is full, the fats overflow, for the wickedness is great. Multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of Yahweh is near in the valley of decision. That's what we're telling you, man. Okay, the day of the Lord is near, man. That time of judgment is here, man. Okay, and when that micro C-hip is implemented, hey, the jig is up, man. Okay, the jig is up. All the things mentioned that are going to happen in Jacob's trouble, they're going to come. Okay, they're going to come just like it says in Esau, Revelation 12:12, going to come in like a flood. Well, he's the catalyst behind those things coming in like a flood. Actually, no, I take that back. Some of the things, okay, because the Lord is using him as his whipping stick on the left-hand side. But, all these different plagues and things of that nature, those things are ordained by the Lord, just on a base level, okay? And there may be some things that are operated through Esau, Edom, okay? But a lot of these things are just, coming directly from the Lord, all right? Because they're punishments, like it says in Esdras, man. Scourges for amendment. But let's keep going. Multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of Yahweh is near in the valley of decision. All right, the sun and the moon shall be darkened, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. All right, you're going to get that nuclear missile strike. Okay. It says Yahweh also shall roar out of Zion and utter his voice from Jerusalem. That's what we just mentioned. He's going to send Yahweh Shai. It says he shall stand his feet upon the Mount of Olives. All right, in Zechariah. It says, and the heavens and the earth shall shake. The earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard. Isaiah said that. But Yahweh will be the hope of his people. What people? The remnant of his people. Jeremiah 30:7. Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. He is talking about the remnant and the strength of the children of Israel. All right. And I'm going to stop right there because I really, that's all I wanted. I read a couple more verses in what I wanted there. Let me see if I can find it from here. Yep, there it is right there. So let's go back to this guy here. See if we can, yep, let's back it up just a tad bit if I can. There we go.
强调，当前世界100年未有之大变局加速演进，我国安全形势不稳定性、不确定性增大，军事斗争任务艰巨繁重。全军要贯彻新时代党的强军思想，贯彻新时代军事战略方针，坚持战斗力这个唯一的根本的标准，全部精力向打仗聚焦，全部工作向打仗用尽，加快提高打赢能力，坚决捍卫国家主权、安全、发展利益，完成好党和人民赋予的各项任务。
抖音。
Okay, that was it with that. I think there's another one down there. It says the drills were accompanied by China declaring the possibility of invading and taking over Taiwan. China's communist leaders have insisted they will not rule out using force to bring Taiwan under Beijing's control. Days after the Sino naval drills around Taiwan, the Chinese military criticized the U.S. and Canada for sending warships through the Taiwan Strait as the two power blocks exercise show of force operations in the region. And that's what you see, man. Okay, a lot of different nations have intentions one with another because that's because the Lord is drawing the line in the sand, you know, and having all the nations on each side of the fight that they're supposed to be on. All right, you got the West and their allies, and then you got the BRICS nations and their allies. Okay. So this one here says, emergency report. President Xi orders Chinese military to prepare for imminent world war in response to NATO's plan to give nukes to Ukraine. All right. And Israel's leaked plans to bomb Iran before election. And we see that this is the Lord just, like I mentioned before, slowly putting the chess pieces together because Russia already talked about warning about giving Ukraine the okay to use certain, weapons, all right, against them, okay? But here, what happens if they put nukes in their hands? That means, and it goes to show you that that the Lord is in control. It's not just things happening, all right, in the earth randomly or whatever the case may be. No, the Lord is in control, man, okay? That's why you even have a talk like this, even if, whether it be true or not, just the idea of it. They already warned about, regular missiles. And now here's talk about missiles. It goes to show you that the Lord is in control and all things are on his time, which is basically prophecy. So let's see what the Jones is talking about.
Now, I've issued a lot of nuclear war warnings the last few years. And even the International Organization of Atomic Scientists, who are the leading experts that have been charting this since the 1950s, have said we are the closest to midnight we've ever been, meaning total thermonuclear war. And the RAND Corporation and all the major...
And what he's referring to is the doomsday clock.
Major wargaming think tanks have studied this more than probably any other subject, and they all agree that we're the closest to nuclear war we've ever been. So, now in the last 24 hours, that clock, I guarantee you, next week will be moved even closer to doomsday by that organization. Ladies and gentlemen, last week, North Korea blew up a bunch of the railroads and other traffic bridges for trucks and automobiles going into South Korea. They've never done that before and said they're preparing for total war.
Yeah, we heard about that. And that's actually a strategic move. Okay, because in the case where maybe, just maybe, they need to, move out to get some supplies, well, you can't do it because there's no way out. Okay, the only way out is up. So you'd have to take, whatever plane, chopper, whatever you got to try and go get supplies. And in that case, there's only but so much you can do. And, you want to keep fuel So, you know, there's a lot going on with that, all right? But cutting off a bridge, you know, it's like I know, you know, use these movies sometimes, for example, but in that the Batman movie, the third one, the Bane one, okay, where they blew up the bridges and it pretty much made that, you know, island, which was an island, but, you know, connected by bridges, a true island. All right, no way out of it. You see, no way off of it. All right, and I'm not saying that's what they did there. I'm just saying that they strategically destroy these bridges. These things were not for no reason. Those were strategic moves, preparing for whatever, you know, because you got these guys that go in, they plan things, okay? So they know what they're doing. If they say we're gonna blow up that bridge over there, that means that they're looking ahead, right? They're looking at their maps. They're thinking about ways to, you know, to invade and things of that nature. And so, yeah, that was a strategic move. Thinking about later, okay, like when it comes down to it down the line, we took this bridge out because, you know, it hinders them, and they are our enemies, and we're trying to go in and take them down, right? So, let me see. Let me play some more of this video here.
We then have Xi Jinping yesterday, for the first time ever, dictator for life in China, who's bringing back Maoist policies, dress up in military fatigues. I'll show you footage in his address here in a moment, and said, be ready for imminent war. For the first time since the Korean War, the Communist Chinese have said that. And for those that don't know, they overran our troops in Korea, and then the U.S. threatened to use nukes, so there was a deal made, and the war never ended. It's just been a ceasefire. Then, Bild, the most respected investigative journal in Germany, and most mainstream media does nothing but lie, Bild is pretty accurate, said that NATO sources told them that within 2 weeks, Ukraine may have nuclear weapons, meaning the West is going to give it to them and use Ukraine as the excuse to trigger a potential nuclear war, certainly a major threat to Russia. Then this broke on Friday, and I said, looks like it's true, but the Pentagon and the White House hadn't responded yet. But respected journalist organizations Friday said they got leaked documents that Netanyahu is preparing to strike before the election. That's the next, 16 days or so?
Man, that's what you call speculation. It could be just trying to push a little fear, whatever the case may be. But hey, you just gotta wait and see, right?
Inside Iran with heavy strikes, and then all Iran did respond back is trigger its Hezbollah forces in and around Israel, in the U.S., and in Europe. And they've got big blocks of those folks inside our countries that our leaders have let in. You talk about October surprise. The people running our governments are pushing Russia into full war, pushing China into full war, pushing Iran into full war. And I'm not a fan of China or Iran or any of that. But NATO, did start 13 years ago, the whole escalation in Ukraine. This is crazy town. So Xi Jinping comes out and says, prepare for total war, prepare to go to war right now. First time since the Korean War, back in the 1950s. And you've got Zelensky saying, we're getting ready to go to total war with Russia. Well, how does he do that without nukes? That's all they can have that can challenge the Russians. You've got Israel now, and the Pentagon since confirmed yesterday, and the White House, there's a big investigation on who leaked from the Pentagon, not from Israel, that Israel has said we're getting ready to attack Iran before the election. So I should have added that up front. It's confirmed that Israel's planning to hit Iran before the election. Then Russia responds, obviously having the intel before we did, and China and North Korea by saying they're prepared for total war. I thought it was good news 5 weeks ago when Biden said, yes, we are prepared to start with the UK and NATO bombing inside Russia with high power, high precision Storm Shadow missiles. But then they backed off of that because the bombs didn't start dropping. I thought, well, maybe they're having some sanity.
And that's what I just mentioned that. Okay. I just mentioned the same thing. Okay. That's what Russia was warning about. Okay. Now you're talking about nukes, right?
But now you add all of this in, China saying you're ready to go to full war, The Israel documents leaking out of the Pentagon that they're getting ready to strike for the election. North Korea blowing up the roads and train bridges into South Korea and saying they're ready for total war. This is insane. And it's because the whole global financial order is coming to an end. The financial crisis, even in official graphs, is 10 times or more worse than it was in 2008. They need a big war to globally reset everything for the Great Reset and to get all the domestic populations in line for the totalitarian.
Not necessarily. To them, yes, war is convenient, but you don't need a global war. All right, it doesn't have to be exactly a global war to bring in this Great Reset, to bring in the micro-chip and the digital systems. Okay, you just need the right situation, the right crisis or crises. Which, yes, a war can be one of them, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a war because there's other things that can happen, all right, that can trigger this. But, yes, a war is one of them, all right, because because in the event, but that will, see, that's the thing, that will sort of disrupt everything going on with the election if it was to happen like soon, just, making an example, right? Because in the case of, okay, the announcement made, the U.S. is now officially declared to be at war with whoever, wherever, how many, ever, so on and so forth, right? That means Biden is going to so-called, all right, remain as president. But you see what's happening. Biden is stepping down. So who's going to be president, man? It's going to move automatically to Kamala. That can be a tactic used, okay? Because it doesn't matter who's running for president. In the event of a war, that president is going to remain as the current president because you're now in war, okay? So there's so many, there's so many things that can happen, which is why I don't hurt my brain thinking about them. I'm just waiting to see what the Lord is going to do. What is he going to use to bring forth this micro-chip? Because it's coming, all right? Regardless, it's coming, okay? Well, there's so many different avenues that could be used here to bring forth the right crisis or crises to have, all these things happen that we've been talking about with the DOD, okay, and the FEMA camps and, all these political things and having all these things rolled up in the ball and just to, to explode, all right? And, and have to force, those troops on the American citizens and martial law and all these different things, see?
Rollout of the central bank digital currencies and the cashless society system, and Russia and China and the BRICS is competing with that, and so war is just an extension of politics and business by another means, as I think von Bismarck said. So many others have said it similarly. So this is the most dangerous moment in modern civilization, and there really is not words to describe how serious it is. I'll be on the air today, 4 p.m. Central, covering this in great detail at Infowars.com/show and at Real Alex Jones on X. And, of course, we'll simulcast it over on Infowars and at the new system that I'm working with some folks that have launched, and that is the Alex Jones Network at AJN Live on X. Be sure to follow us there. So look for updates. We need to have a debate about this. We used to have huge millions demonstrating before we went to war in Iraq the first time in 1991, and the second time in 2003. We had big protests about other wars. We had huge protests about Gaza. And what's happened in Gaza is terrible, and I'm very sad about the whole thing for both sides. But that is a scratch compared to having your head cut off in the nuclear war. So people are demonstrating by the millions every week about Gaza, and then while we're over here looking at that, the big enchilada is taking place. Israel does not need to strike Iran. Israel needs to de-escalate. But that keeps Netanyahu in power and stops the investigation of the stand down by Israel on October 7th, so that he stands to gain, I guess, at the expense of the whole world. And the globalists want to have a global crisis, so they bring their new financial system and get everybody in line. And China's got big problems and is financially collapsing, so they, I guess, are going to war. And you've got the EU in big trouble, so they need a war to stay relevant. They even talk about, the EU's new economic plan for the next 20 years is war. I mean, this is dystopia for real, just like the beginning of World War I, World War II. This is insane. So pray for peace, pray for global awakening, pray for sanity.
I think we're passing that, Mr. Jones there. Pray for peace. We're praying for the exact opposite, man. Man, we're praying for the exact opposite, okay? We're praying for World War III, destruction of Babylon the Great and our enemies. All right, and bring these people down. Okay, who just talking, bunch of talkers. All right, like dealing with what is it? I want to say it was Sennacherib. Okay, dealing with Sennacherib. As a matter of fact, yeah, we're about to go off on a journey real quick. Let me see what else is in this video. It's probably talking about nothing else.
And hope people are concerned about this as we sleepwalk into thermal nuclear Armageddon. All right, please follow me again at the Alex Jones Network, AJN Live, and hopefully share this video as will everybody. And
what else he's talking about? Nothing.
Hello? Thank you so much. I don't fight tyranny because I hate the tyrants, though I do hate them. I do it because I love the people behind me I'm defending.
We had enough flabbergasting out of you. All right, that's it for that. So yeah, you got the pretty much gist of that talk there. But yeah, I do want to did my screen freeze? Okay, bear with it. All right, there we go. So it says World War III alert. China readies for war as Xi dons military uniform. And you see him right there. Okay. So, what did I just mention here? Let's see if I can pull this up, man. Dealing with the boasting. I believe it was Sennacherib. And these are how these nations are, all right? They speak so highly of themselves, like as if they're in control, but they're not. The Lord is in control of all things. We're going to have to make a transition because I want to say 2 Chronicles 32. Is that it? We'll see if we can find it there. 2 Chronicles 32. I believe this is it. Okay, because from here, all right, we have to go. We'll get in a second. Let's just read. So it says 2 Chronicles 32. It says, after these things and the establishment thereof, Sennacherib, king of Assyria, came and entered. Hold on, because the sun is shining. Okay, so it says, came and entered into Judah and encamped against the fenced cities and thought to win them for himself. It says, and when Hezekiah saw that Sennacherib was come and that he was purposed to fight against Jerusalem, he took counsel with his princes and his mighty men to stop the waters of the fountains which were without the city, and they did help him. And we just mentioned that the other day, or the other week or whenever. All right, it was Hezekiah that had the men reroute the Gihon spring, okay, into the pool of Siloam. All right, and so, that way when those troops come, they wouldn't find water. All right, and it's funny how when you go into that history, I don't know if you ever did research in that. When you go into Sennacherib's account, he talks about Hezekiah being locked up like a caged bird and this and that. And that goes right into what I mentioned before multiple times, that these nations will record history about whipping ass, but when it doesn't go their way, they don't record those portions of history. I mean, because it's recorded, but it doesn't tell. All right, as we go to Isaiah chapter 32, it tells exactly what went down. All right, and it was a scholar that actually pissed me off, a couple weeks ago. I saw him, which he did a beautiful job going into those different accounts, all right, because he mentioned the help from Egypt and all of that stuff, right? But then, this is the problem with these devils, man. They don't want to believe what the scriptures say, all right? They want to say that the reason why Sennacherib didn't go, to Jerusalem and he went away is because eventually Hezekiah just started paying him tribute to leave again. That's not what the scriptures say, man. That ain't what's recorded in Isaiah. We know what the scriptures say, and that's what we believe. So the hell with what people are talking about, these wannabe scholars and things of that nature. But let's read into it, because we have to jump over there. It says, he took counsel with his princes and his mighty men to stop the waters of the fountains, which were without the city, and they did help him. So there was gathered much people together who stopped all the fountains and the brook that ran through the midst of the land, saying, why should the king of Assyria come and find much water? All right, what we just mentioned, the rerouting of the Gihon spring to the pool of Siloam. Okay, so it says also he strengthened himself and built up a wall. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, pull up maps. Okay, so it says, and also he strengthened himself and built up the wall that was broken and raised it up to the towers. And I believe that's the same one known as the Broad Wall. And when you're going to look at it, you're like, damn, that's a thick wall, which is why it was called the Broad Wall. All right. So it says, in another wall without, and repaired Milo, tomato, in the city of David, and made darts and shields in abundance. And he set captains of war over the people, and gathered them together to him in the street of the gate of the city, and spake comfortably to them, saying, Be strong and courageous, be not afraid nor dismayed for the king of Assyria, nor for all the multitude that is with him, for there be more with us than with him. With him is an arm of flesh, but with us is Yahweh our power to help us. Okay? To fight our battles. And he was referring to the chariots of the Lord, man. The angels that are always there. It says, and the people rested themselves upon the words of Hezekiah, king of Judah. After this did Sennacherib, king of Assyria, send his servants to Jerusalem, but he himself laid siege against Lachish, okay? Lachish, some people say, Lachish or Lachish, doesn't really matter. It says, and all his power with him, unto Hezekiah, king of Judah, and unto all Judah that were at Jerusalem, saying, Thus said Sennacherib, king of Assyria, whereon do ye trust, that ye abide in the siege of Jerusalem? Does not Hezekiah persuade you to give over yourselves to die by famine and by thirst, saying, The Lord Yahweh our God shall deliver us out of the hand of the king of Assyria? And basically what he's doing is he's boasting, all right? To say it straightforward, he's talking shit, okay? It says, Had not the same Hezekiah taken away his high places and his altars, and commanded Judah and Jerusalem, saying, Ye shall worship before one altar and burn incense upon it. Know ye not what I and my fathers have done unto all the people of other lands? All right. And when you go into that history, they also took other, cities before that, before they came here. Okay. So it says, which we just read, we just mentioned, Lachish, right? One of those. So it says, Know ye not what I and my fathers have done unto all the people of the other lands? Were the gods of the nations of those lands were the gods of those nations of those lands anyways able to deliver their lands out of mine hand? And of course the answer is no, because those are false gods and idols. All right. And obviously the Lord allowed that anyways. But let's get to it. It says, Who was there among all the gods of those nations that my fathers utterly destroyed, that could deliver his people out of mine hand, that your God should be able to deliver you out of mine hand? Now therefore let not Hezekiah deceive you, nor persuade you on this matter, neither yet believe him. For no God of any nation or kingdom was able to deliver his people out of mine hand, and out of the hand of my fathers. How much less shall your God deliver you out of my hand? You see how he's boasting against the Lord? Check this out, though. It says, And his servant spake yet more against Yahweh, power, and against his servant Hezekiah. He wrote also letters to rail on the Lord, Yahweh, power of Israel, and to speak against him, saying, As the gods of the nations of other lands have not delivered their people out of mine hand, so shall not the God of Hezekiah deliver his people out of my hand. Proud, right? Very prideful. Then, and Sennacherib was he was real evil dude too. It says then, because when you go into, we're looking at those wall reliefs, it shows you, people being impaled, or other kind of horrible tortures and things of that nature happening to, so he was a very fierce, general of his people. So it says, Then they cried with a loud voice in the Jews' speech unto the people of Jerusalem that were on the wall, to affright them and to trouble them, that they might take the city. And they spake against the God of Jerusalem, as against the gods of the people of the earth, which were the work of the hands of man. And for this cause Hezekiah the king and the prophet Isaiah, the son of Amos, prayed and cried to heaven. All right. And this is important, because the remainder of this account, what truly happened, what scholars don't like to admit to, but what truly happened, some scholars anyways, but don't like to admit to. All right. And I'm not going to say it. We're just going to go over there and read it. But you have to go over to the account of Isaiah. So let's keep going. It says, And Yahweh sent an angel, okay? It says, which cut off all the mighty men of valor and their leaders and captains in the camp of the king of Assyria. So he returned with shame of his face to his own land. And when he was coming to the house of his God, that they that came forth of his own bowels slew him there with the sword. I believe, and if I'm correct, I think that was like two of his sons, okay, that got together and did that. Okay. So it says, Thus Yahweh saved Hezekiah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem from the hand of Sennacherib, the king of Assyria, and from the hand of all other and guided them on every side. Okay? Now, as we just read here, it says, and Yahweh sent an angel which cut off all the mighty men of valor and the leaders and captains in the account of the king of Assyria. Now, to get further into that account, we got to go into Isaiah. And if I'm correct, that's either 37 or 36. I want to say it's 36. Isaiah 36. Okay. All right. Yep. Isaiah 36:1 says, now it came to pass in the 14th year of King Hezekiah that Sennacherib, king of Assyria, came up against all the defense cities of Judah and took them. Now remember how he just had a messenger come talk that, that cold hard cash, that's hard smack, right? All right, check this out. It says, and the king of Assyria sent Rabshakeh from Lachish to Jerusalem unto King Hezekiah with a great army. And he stood by the conduit of the upper pool in the highway of the fuller's field. Then came forth unto Eliakim, Hilkiah's son, which was over the house of Shebna the scribe, and Joah, Asaph's son, the recorder. So you notice how I was going into more detail, right? So it says, and Rabshakeh said unto them, say ye now to Hezekiah, thus saith the great king, the king of Assyria, what confidence is this wherein thou trustest? I say, sayest thou, but they are but vain words. I have counsel and strength from war. Now on whom doest thou trust, that thou rebellest against me? Okay, that boastfulness says, lo, thou trustest in the staff of this broken reed on Egypt. Now this is something, and we're not going to get into this. Maybe if the Spirit's on, we'll go into it. Like I said, the dude brought up good accounts there, but yeah, there was a particular king from Egypt that came to help or whatever. But we're not going to get into that right now. I want to get down to this point so I can wrap this lesson up. So it says, lo, thou trusted in the staff of this broken reed on Egypt, whereon if a man lean, it will go into his hand and pierce it. So is Pharaoh king of Egypt to all that trust in him. Then it says, but if thou say to me, we trust in the Lord Yahweh our power, is it not he whose high places and whose altars Hezekiah hath taken away, and said to Judah and to Jerusalem, ye shall worship before this altar? Now therefore give pledges, I pray thee, to my master the king of Assyria, and I will give thee 2,000 horses, if thou be able on thy part to set riders upon them. And this is actually him just making mockery. All right, I'll give you 2,000 horses, and you still won't find 2,000 men to ride upon them to go into battle against my king Sennacherib, king of Assyria. Right? So it says, how then wilt thou turn away the face of one captain of the least of my master's servants, and put thy trust on Egypt for chariots and for horsemen? It says, and I am now come up without Yahweh against this land to destroy it. Yahweh said unto me, go up against this land and destroy it. Then say Eliakim and Shebna and Joah and Rabshakeh, speak, I pray thee, unto thy servants in the Syrian language, for we understand it, and speak not to us in the Jews' language, in the ears of the people that are on the wall. Though Rabshakeh said, hath my master sent me to thy master and to thee to speak these words? Hath he not sent me to men that sit upon the wall, that they may eat their own dung and drink their own piss with you? All right, it's me, that cold hard smack, right? Yeah, okay, this is that is that old school, before the fight talk right here. It says, then Rabshakeh stood and cried with a loud voice in the Jews' language and said, hear ye the words of the great king, the king of Assyria. Thus said the king, let not Hezekiah deceive you, for he shall not be able to deliver you. Neither let Hezekiah make you trust in Yahweh, saying, Yahweh will surely deliver us. This city shall not be delivered into the hand of the king of Assyria. All right, check this out. It says, hearken not to Hezekiah, for thus saith the king of Assyria, make an agreement with me by a present, and come out to me, and eat ye every one of his vine and every one of his fig tree, and drink ye every one the waters of his own cistern, until I come and take you away to a land like your own land, a land of corn and wine, a land of bread and vineyards. And those are just words of bribery, if you want to put it that way. Okay. But anyways, it says, beware lest Hezekiah persuade you, saying, Yahweh will deliver us. Hath any of the gods of the nations delivered his land out of the hand of the king of Assyria? Isn't that not what we just read in 2 Chronicles 32? Where are the gods of Hamath? See, it's going into more detail now here under the account of Isaiah. Where are the gods of Hamath and Arphad? where are the gods of Sepharvaim? And have they delivered Samaria out of my hand? All right. And then we also mentioned Lachish, right? So it says, who are they among all the gods of these lands that have delivered their land out of my hand, that Yahweh should deliver Jerusalem out of my hand? But they held their peace and answered him not a word, for the king's commandment was saying, answer him not. Then came Eliakim, the son of Hilkiah, that was over the household, and Shebna the scribe, and Joah, the son of Asaph the recorder, to Hezekiah with their clothes rent, and told him the words of Rabshakeh. All right, now, as we go over here, you know what? How long is this chapter? We'll do it. We'll get 3 chapters. We'll just read. Let's just Spirit just told me to read, so we'll just read. So Isaiah 37. This is what we're gonna wrap it up here. And it came to pass when King Hezekiah heard it, that he rent his clothes and covered himself with sackcloth and went into the house of Yahweh. And he sent Eliakim, who was over the household, and Shebna the scribe, and the elders of the priests covered with sackcloth unto Isaiah the prophet, the son of Amoz. And they said unto him, thus said Hezekiah, this day is a day of trouble, and of rebuke, and of blasphemy, for the children are come to the birth, and there is not strength to bring forth. It may be, Yahweh thy power will hear the words of Rabshakeh, whom the king of Assyria his master hath sent to reproach the living God. All right, and will reprove the words which Yahweh thy power hath heard. Wherefore lift up thy prayer for the remnant that is left. It says, so the servants of King Hezekiah came to Isaiah. And Isaiah said unto them, thus shall ye say unto your master, thus said Yahweh, be not afraid of the words that thou hast heard, wherewith the servants of the king of Assyria have blasphemed me. Behold, I will send a blast upon him, and he will hear a rumor and return to his own land, and I will cause him to fall by the sword in his own land. And those things happen. All right, we're gonna get down below. We're gonna get the account of what happened to the men while they went and left from battle, and it wasn't because Hezekiah just paid tribute to him to go away. All these other nations he conquered. All right, and did all this folks were talking, but all of a sudden it comes to Hezekiah in Jerusalem. He's gonna take a tribute and just go his merry way. Nah, man, that ain't the true history. The true history is in the Bible. Now, as far as the second half of it, it says, and I will cause him to fall by the sword in his own land. That's what we just mentioned. His 2 sons put him to death. Okay. And so it says that's all history. All right. So it says, so Rabshakeh returned and found the king of Assyria warring against Libnah, for he had heard that he was departed from Lachish, and he heard say concerning Tirhakah, king of Ethiopia, he is come forth to make war with thee. Now we mentioned the king of Ethiopia. They were just talking smack about him. He trusts in his broken reed, right? Of Egypt. He says he has come forth to make war with thee. And when he heard it, he sent messengers to Hezekiah, saying, thus shall ye speak to Hezekiah, king of Judah, saying, let not thy God in whom thou trustest deceive thee, saying, Jerusalem shall not be given into the hand of the king of Assyria. It says, behold, thou hast heard what the kings of Assyria have done to all lands by destroying them utterly, and shalt thou be delivered. And it says, have the gods of the nations delivered them, which my fathers have destroyed, as Gozan and Haran and Rezeph. It says, and the children of Eden, which were in Telassar. So it says, where is the king of Hamath and the king of Arphad? All right, these 2. The king of Arphad and the king of the city of Sepharvaim, Hena and Iva. It's like for the I don't know if you hear the background. That's that same one chick that came up to me talking about she had the girlfriend. That was maybe, I don't know if it's been a month. That's them arguing right there. You just get off the bus. Anyways, and Hezekiah received the letter from, I thought it was coming this way. I don't want to get disrupted. So the water was from the shop for taking the noise up the street. Taking those demons up the street. It says, and Hezekiah received the letter from the hand of the messengers and read it. And Hezekiah went up unto the house of Yahweh and spread it before Yahweh. And Hezekiah prayed unto Yahweh, saying, O Yahweh of hosts, power of Israel, that dwellest between the cherubims, thou art the God, even thou alone, of all the kingdoms of the earth. Thou hast made heaven and earth. Incline thy ear, O Yahweh, and hear. Open thine eyes, O Yahweh, and see, and hear all the words of Sennacherib, which has sent to reproach the living power Of a truth, Yahweh, the kings of Assyria have laid waste all the nations and their countries, and have cast their gods into the fire, for they were no gods, but the work of men's hands, wood and stone, a topic we often go into. Therefore they have destroyed them. Now therefore, O Yahweh, our power, save us from his hand, that all the kingdoms of the earth may know that thou art thou art Yahweh, even thou only. Basically saying that you are a living power and that you're the only true God out here. It says what? Then Isaiah, the son of Amos, sent unto Hezekiah, saying, Thus said Yahweh, power of Israel, whereas thou hast prayed to me against Sennacherib, king of Assyria. This is the word which Yahweh has spoken concerning him. The virgin, the daughter of Zion, had despised thee and laughed thee to scorn. The daughter of Jerusalem has shaken her head at thee, whom hast thou reproached and blasphemed, and against whom hast thou exalted thy voice. You see, whom hast thou reproached and blasphemed? All that bold talk that you were doing, okay? And against whom hast thou exalted thy voice and lifted up thine eyes on high, even against the Holy One of Israel? It says, by the servants hast thou reproached the Lord, and has said, by the servant that he sent to talk that smack, right? By the multitude of my chariots am I come up to the height of the mountains, to the sides of Lebanon, and I will cut down the tall cedars thereof, and the choice fir trees thereof, and I will enter into the height of his border, and the forest of his Carmel. I have digged and drunk water, and with the sole of my feet have I dried up all the rivers of the besieged places. Hast thou not heard long ago how I have done it, and of ancient times that I have formed it? Now have I brought it to pass, that thou shouldest be to lay to waste the fenced cities into ruinous heaps. Therefore their inhabitants were of small power. They were dismayed and confounded. They were as the grass of the field, and as the green herb, as the grass of the housetops, and as the corn blasted before it be grown up. But I know thy abode and thy going out and thy coming in and thy rage against me, because thy rage against me and thy tumult is come up into mine ears. Therefore will I put my hook in thy nose and my bridle in thy lips, and I will turn thee back by the way by which thou camest, which goes into the prophecy up above. Okay, him being destroyed in his own land. Okay, he was murdered as he went back home. Okay, or when he, back at his, own land. Okay, and his troops were destroyed. It says, and this shall be the sign unto thee: ye shall eat this year such as groweth of itself, and the second year that which springeth of the same, and in the third year sow ye and reap and plant vineyards and eat the fruit thereof. And the remnant that is escaped of the house of Judah shall again take root downward and bear fruit upward. For out of Jerusalem shall go forth a remnant, and they that escape out of the Mount Zion, the zeal of Yahweh of hosts shall do this. Therefore thus said Yahweh concerning the king of Assyria: he shall not come into this city, nor shoot an arrow there, nor come before it with shields, nor cast a bank against it. All right, because there was a lot of times people would they begin their siege. All right, whether it be casting trenches, building walls, or bringing siege weapons to break down a wall, or whatever the case may be. All right, he's not going to do none of that. He's not going to get a chance to. Okay, so it says. Verse 34, it says, by the way that he came, by the same shall he return, and shall not come into the city, said the Lord Yahweh. All right, it says, for I will defend this city to save it for mine own sake and for my servant David's sake. All right, it's always about the name of the Lord. Okay, and that's pretty much what Isaiah, Hezekiah pretty much went to Isaiah. Isaiah is going about. All right, for your name, Lord. Okay. So it says, the angel of Yahweh, here it is. This is what we talked about with that scholar, right? But some scholars don't want to admit what the real reason was. It wasn't from the doggone tribute, man. Okay, it was Lord, he sent an angel to whip some ass. Verse 36 says, then the angel of Yahweh went forth and smote in the camp of the Assyrians 185,000. All right, a score is 20. So 4 score is 80. All right, 80 and 5,000, so 185,000. And when they arose early in the morning, behold, they were all dead corpses. Now, if you go into these secular accounts from the history of, Sennacherib and his prison and all that kind of stuff, I believe it's called, I forget, there's another name for it, but yeah, when you go into all that, right? They won't tell you that account. They'll it'll just be more proud talk. Sennacherib, Hezekiah, you know, as a caged bird and whatever else he was saying there. All right, and he went home like he had other matters to do. Nah, man, I thought you were boldly conquering people. Okay, what happened to that? You see, so the true account is in the Bible, but the scholars don't want to, you know, come with this account. They don't want to come with what really happened because it's so far fetched. All right. And I know we way off from where we started at, you know, talking about, you know, that article there. But, you know, this is what the Lord is going to do, man. He's going to bring down these armies. He's going to use Yahushua. He's going to use the angels, man, because they boast proudly against his name, all right, and against his people, okay? And they think that they're going to war and fight over the earth and constantly be new leaders. Someone's going to be a new leader, and this person's going to be a new leader. That, you know, nah, man, this is the end right here. All right, the last Gentile nation is a rulership. Let's finish this chapter also. We close. Then the angel of Yahweh went forth and smote in the camp of the Assyrians 185,000. And when they arose early in the morning, behold, they were all dead corpses. So Sennacherib, king of Assyria, departed and went and returned and dwelt at Nineveh. And it came to pass as he was worshiping, which goes back into the prophecy up above, right? As he was worshiping in the house of Nisroch, his god, that Adremelech and Sharezer, his son, smote him with the sword, and they escaped into the land of Armenia, and Esarhaddon, his son, reigned in his stead. And that's the true account. That's what really happened. And that's what we're waiting for the Lord to send Yahushua, all right, and the angels to take down these nations and destroy these heathens and deliver up salvation to the elect. All right, so and there's nothing else more to say about that. All right, because we just, you know, we went from one topic to another, but that was the spirit. The spirit was just moving. But hey, we read 3 chapters. All right, so I'm gonna leave it at that. Nothing else to say. Shalom.